Good morning. Get back to this after a break. This was a poker break. Not doing any playing. Did do some reading, but just trying to just take a break from the game since I've been doing this most days. So we're gonna get back reviewing some hands. This hand was played. Not sure when this was played. June sometime. So let's get to it. So we have 8 players or 7 players. We have a mid-position player, open raises 2.5. I've got 3,000 hands on him. He's playing 28-18. He's going to have a decent range here. His mid-position range, VPIP is 26%. Raise first in's 24%. He does have a small limping range. And note, I do have like limp and call to raise here with several hands. So I think he's capable of limping some of the hands. I don't think we can pick out and say he always limps, 8s, he always limps 9s. I think it's probably situation specific. So, I think some of the time it might not be 100% that these are his hands, because I think he could limp with some of them. So, yeah, like 10-9 could be a limp. 10-9 off could be a limp. He might have a limp with maybe some of these, some of those hands. But I think we're going to go here. This is 24%, kind of matches his raise first in stat. Folds to me, and I just called here. I'm not really thrilled with the call here as I look at it. I don't really remember why I did this. I think part of the reason is I am in the cutoff. I'm gonna I might have position. However, right now analyzing and looking at these two players are fairly loose. I think if I wanted it to go up against villain 5 with the king 10 club, I should be raising here. I should be raising to try to isolate instead of calling, because if I call, it kind of gives the button pretty decent odds and then allows the blind to come in behind, and both of these have a pretty high VPIP, so don't really like it. When we look at some of the hand ranges, this could be a 3-better calling range from the cutoff versus a mid-position player. You can see king 10 is not on there, king 10 suited. It kind of falls in like the raise first in, but not in 3-better call. So I kind of think when I made this call, this could be a hand that I'm calling with. It could be a hand that I'm raising with, and definitely it's not even in a hand to take the limp. So I think that argues more that this is really just a raise as a bluff or a fold, and really not even go for some value. So maybe at this time I've had several 3-bets. I've only had 1 out of 45 hands, 1 out of 45 attempts at this table. So I'm going to go with my calling range and continue with that. Villain 2 calls. Villain 2 is playing 51-16. When we look at a small blind stat, he's played 50% of his hands. I think he's just coming along with a wide range of hands. I did get rid of queens plus ace king. I think most people will 3-bet those. Maybe they don't, but I'm going to go with that. So we see a flop. Flop comes down king 8-4, which actually hits us. We're not too disappointed to see this board. Hit top pair, kind of have a weaker kicker. Seeing the king out makes it less likely that villain 5 actually has a king. We still have to worry about hands like aces. You've got flush draw, which, yeah, he could draw out on us, but we've got top pair, decent kicker. I expect villain 2 to check, which is what he did, and then we have a cbet. His cbet stats actually fairly high, so even out of position, it's about 66%. So I think this is a board that we're going to expect to see him cbet most of his range here. It is up against 3 players, but I think he's going to be doing this a fairly high percentage of the time. I think I would too, because I think I'm ace king, king queen, that's all in our range. we're going to probably plan for a second barrel as well, as long as the heart doesn't come out. I think with the heart, we're going to have to be a little bit more careful just because we're out of position. So if we have ace, king, king, queen, we could easily just check call, but I think we're trying, we don't want to go up against two players where they may have the flush draw. So I think with his cbet, we're going to say basically any pair plus as flush draws. We're going to give him the cut shots. Probably 2-card backdoor flush draws as well. That's going to include like ace, king, king, queen. I think hands that we wouldn't do this with if we raise would be like a 10 jack of clubs, 9 10 of dime, 9 10 of spades maybe. But we've got 63.6%. Now it's on us. What do we do? I don't think we could fold. And he didn't really bet large. He bet like less than a quarter of a pot. So maybe that's a sign that he's somewhat weak, and he's hoping to pick it up with a very small bet. So I think our play is to call or to raise. If we raise, I think we're gonna get him to fold some of these 2-card backdoor flush draws, possibly gut shot. I don't think we're getting him to fold the flush draw. I think we're gonna get him to fold some of these middle pairs and bottom pairs and stuff. Kind of expect him to raise like sets, probably raise over pairs, probably raise some of the top pairs as well, and maybe even some of the flush draws, like the nut flush draws here. Maybe nut flush with like ace 4 hearts would be a good one. What kind of hands would I raise with? I think we do have a situation where we're going to be raising our sets. Hate to raise flush draw and then have to fold if he comes over the top. So maybe with the flush draw, we call with our set as well. Yeah, let's get this grouped. Set flush. I think these pocket pair less than the top cards, 9 10 could be a good one. These middle ones would be a good one. We're going to have some value to try to get him to fold. I think top pair with the 10 might just work for as a call. I think with a heart, you can call with the idea that if he chucks to us on the turn, we can go ahead and fire again. So I think that's going to be our betting range here. I raised, and I actually don't like this. Villain 2 folds. He just doesn't have anything, and then he comes over the top. So the question is, what does he think I'm going to be raising with? I think I'm going to be raising, or he can think I'm raising with like a king. He can think I'm raising with the flush draw. So when he comes over the top, it really puts us at a bad situation. So I think even with the king 10, it's probably best just to go ahead and fold. We have to call, what is it? 8 more big blinds. We need 24%. I really don't think. I think he's going to have at least a strong king plus. I don't think he would do this with flush draw, so I think we're at a spot where we should really fold. So when he comes back over the top, I'm not even going to say he does it with any of these draws. I think we are looking at top pair plus here, and probably not even all top pair. We're going to say maybe even just ace king plus. I think that's what he's looking at for the raises. And that's, based on that, we should just fold because I think he's got us crushed. And we don't really have a whole lot of draws in our range here at this point. So I made the mistake and called. which again, like when we think about what hands we have, I think the only thing I'm thinking of is, well, if he's doing this just as a bluff because I raised it, then if he checks a turn, we can fire, we could take a stab and hopefully get him to fold, because now at that point when he checks, I think he's probably saying he doesn't have a king. So 4 clubs comes out, he checks, and it's 2 things. Either he just now hit, full boat or quads, or he really, is playing pot control with ace king, top pair, or top pair with top gear. So I checked behind because it didn't feel like it didn't feel right. So I think I'm okay with that. I do think at this point quads and full house is probably going to be checking. So you got your overpair, top pair. I think I'm checking 100% here. I mean, no way can I continue. Or I can make the bet now. I'm going to say, if this wasn't a 4, if this didn't pair the board and he checked, I think at that point we could probably fire. But since it did pair, I think it just, if he's ahead, he's still ahead. So 3 comes out, he lays out 25.1. I need 30% to call. Do I think I'm getting that? I really don't think I'm getting it. We should be folding, and I didn't. So this hand was just screw ups all around for me. I called. I think he's gonna be showing us a big hand, a strong hand, and that's what he does. He shows kings, which is kind of crazy. I think the reason I called is because I had a king in my hand, and I thought, well, it's gonna be hard for him to have a king. But I think right from the get-go, when he raised us, it just kind of made sense. He bet small. Let's go back to the flop. He bet small at 1.6. We raised him, and then he 3-bets us even more. So now it's 8 big blinds for me to call here. I needed 24%. I don't think many players do this as a bluff at all. Some aggressive players do, but I don't think, I wouldn't classify this as an aggressive player, even like as a super aggressive or even as a maniac. So I just made a lot of mistakes here. Hopefully you see all these mistakes. I do like my turn. As I said, I was going to plan for the bet if he checks to me. But as we work through the hands, I just think it's so unrealistic that he has anything weaker than ace king. I mean, maybe king queen, but I think once that pair boards and he's checks it, he's just going into slow playing, hoping that I bet. And that's when it gets to the river. I need 30%. I don't think there's any way I have 30% or anything close to it. I don't think he's bluffing. I don't think he bluffs enough. All right, hopefully you enjoy this. If you do, start looking again. I'm going to try to do these every day, but if I miss a day or two, I miss a day or two. So yeah, keep looking for new updates.